Hello and welcome to this special conversation. I'm delighted you'll be joining us for what promises to be a compelling journey into one of corporate India's most remarkable turnarounds. Today, we spotlight the extraordinary story behind CG Power and Industrial Solutions, a company that not long ago many had written off as a cautionary tale, but now has re-emerged as a phoenix rising from the ashes. And at the heart of this resurrection is Srinivasan, the corporate doctor whose leadership and steely resolve have redefined how we think about corporate revival. Srinivasan narrates his dramatic journey in his book. It's called The Great Revival, CG Power's Comeback from Bankruptcy to a $10 billion company. In its pages lies not just a corporate balance sheet recovery, but a carefully orchestrated redemption involving grit, strategy, and a relentless vision. To set the stage, once a heavyweight under the storied Thapa family, CG Power, earlier part of the Avanta group, slid into a morass of financial distress, governance controversies, and severe value erosion. By the time its control passed to the Murugappa group in late 2020, the company was weighed down by toxic debt, collapsed investor confidence, and murky financials. Enter Mr. Srinivasan, chosen by the Murugappa group as the man to clean up the mess. What followed was nothing short of surgical. Within a matter of months, his team reconstructed 5 years of distorted financials across more than 150 accounts. But accounting alone was only the first step. Under his leadership, CG Power underwent structural reorientation, rationalizing businesses, rebuilding internal controls, and the results speak for themselves, from a company on life support to a thriving industrial business. So let's get straight into the conversation with none other than the author of the book, the man behind the CG turnaround, Mr. N. Srinivasan. So thank you very much for joining us. Great to have you with us here. And I want to just start by asking you, sir, a very simple, basic question before I get to the turnaround and what you did. Why did you decide to document it? It's a wonderful read, 200-odd pages, and it's a breezy, easy read. But when did the idea come into your head to start to try and document this?
Prashant, first, thank you very much for having me on the show. As you know, this CG Power is a very, very complex case for restructuring. It has got all kinds of complications. It had investigations, it had recasting of books, it was an NPA. And then, COVID was in full flow. And the time when Murugappa took over, none of the plants were working. There was an exodus of people. And then the investigations by Enforcement Directorate, CBI, besides that, there was an 1,000 crores tax demand. From this, this company had turned around. Normally, when you say a turnaround, a loss-making company just making profits, started making profits or EBITDA positive, you say that the company has turned around. Here, look at the complete landscape of turnaround. The company regained market share. It was a leader in its fields, then it lost market share. It regained market share. It made operating profits. It made finally profit after tax cash flows. It generated enough cash flows to repay the debt and became debt-free. And then also started resuming equity dividend after about 8 years. Then besides that, they also resolved many of the legacy issues which were there for about 7 to 8 years, which were pending. So considering all this, I think, I thought, this is something which the story has to be told, because for the next generation, at least there will be a sort of a guidance. And also, since very many of the unique areas where the company had to deal with, there were no past precedents or guidelines. For example, the recasting, there was no separate guidelines under the Act. There was a provision under the Companies Act which the tribunal can direct you to recast. But who will sign the balance sheet? What is the scope of the recasting auditor? There were a number of issues. So the Ministry of Corporate Affairs was directly involved. They themselves told me that you was the first case, you have completed this, we want you to document this. Then sometime, the bankers also told me that SBI, this is one of the fastest case of turnaround, therefore you document. So all these weighed on my mind. Then when I thought everything was completed, then I thought I will write it down.
How did Murugappa Group happen to CG Power? I mean, Mr. Velayan reflects in the chapters in the book, and he says that one of the group companies was exposed to, to CG Power, and they were not being paid on time, and it was sort of an issue which came up in meetings after meetings. So there was this knowledge about this company. Was that kind of the starting point, and then you scratched the surface?
You are right. Maybe in one of the companies, the money was due from CG, And then, what is the reasons for this money not coming? Then it came to light that, this company is undergoing some kind of a problem, and then it may take a while to get the money. Then they started making inquiries, and then State Bank happened to be the lead banker for CG and also the lead banker for the Murugappa group. That is how it all started. Then State Bank, by the time they inquired, State Bank then also said, why don't you have a look at the company? Of course, there are a number of issues. That is how it all started. Then finally, somewhere in August 2020, after multiple level of discussions, that time also COVID was in full flow. Based on available data and information, then the Murugappa took a call that, that they will make a bid to acquire the company. And then made an offer to State Bank. And then State Bank, taking the Murugappa group of TA's offer was made by Tube Investments of India. They took it as a base. And then
there was an auction.
They went through a Swiss challenge. They wanted to go through a Swiss challenge. If there is anybody else, then best price to be got. But nobody came forward. Then ultimately TA was declared the winner. And then that is how TA acquired this company.
For a moment, you would have had doubts, right? The group would have had doubts. Well, here's an asset. We are the only bidders. You put it up for auction, and we're still the only guys. Nobody else. And this is COVID, and people are retreating, not expanding in that sense, right?
So I would put it this way: there's some kind of uneasiness. Even though whenever you buy an asset, you should feel happy. Yeah. But given the circumstances, because the issues were. No one knew that when the COVID will end.
Correct.
Because COVID may take another 2 years, 3 years, then then it will stop your recovery. Then this accounts was a disclaimer. There was no balance sheet you can rely on. Therefore, you never know what were hidden in the cupboard actually. Notwithstanding that an offer was made, and then there was all kinds of feeling. There was some kind of, I would say, nervousness. With that only I was asked to get in. I never had any clue of what was there. I will stop here.
Okay. So you get the call one fine morning?
So about 10 days back, I was in Mumbai at that time. Even though it was COVID, I was working for ILFS. There was a Government of India appointment. Then one of the senior family members called me that the group is looking at. They didn't tell me the name because they thought it may be a price-sensitive information listed company. So we are looking at an acquisition. Therefore, we want you to get involved. We want you to get involved fully. I even thought, that may be an advisory job or a consultancy job. Then I said, okay, you just tell me, let me know the details, then I will look at it. Then after just about 4 or 5 days before, I think November 26th was the date on which company was acquired. Just a week, 4 or 5 days back, Vellayan Subbiya called me that, we are talking to this company, and then we want you to be the CEO of this company. And then I said, give me some time. Then his other elders were also there. I said, you can take your time, but don't come and tell us that we will not do it. I want you to do this for us.
This is November 2020.
Correct.
Wow. Smack in the middle of COVID. That must have been tough, right? Because there was no real sense of what this disease could do. Vaccine, I think, came in November, late November, right?
So, in fact, I organized vaccine to the employees after I joined. So Vellayan was supposed to come with me for the first board meeting. He got infected by COVID, therefore he couldn't join.
Right.
So I came alone.
Right.
And then this is under the RBI stressed asset mechanism.
Right.
Therefore, the entire board has to be replaced. Therefore, all the board members were replaced. The new board took charge. Then I was appointed as MD. So from that time onwards, I started staying there in CG headquarters. COVID was really in full flow. Then
so a lot of meetings on Zoom and
meetings were only in Zoom. And then I used to have as big a hall like this, and then somebody will sit at the long end of the table. It is how it had to happen. And then all the time I was alone. If at all you can speak only through phone or through Zoom calls, no personal meetings could take place.
I can only imagine, because it was a stressful time, generally stressful time, and on top of that, something like this, right?
Yeah.
Quite remarkable. Let's talk about what you dealt with first, as you detail in the book, which is, of course, lenders, right?
Yeah.
Bankers, and then, of course, suppliers, vendors, etc. as well. Talk to us a little bit about how you decided, because everything, as you say in the book, seemed like a priority. Do it now, right? But you had to decide and prioritize. So how did you do it?
So I'll just give you an overview of what things prevailed at that point of time. about 2,600 crores of amount were due to secured creditors. The company was an NPA. Then, CG had given guarantees to some of the amounts lent to its subsidiaries outside India. Those loans became bad. The value of those guarantees were 1,280 crores. And then those banks actually wanted to sue, invoke the guarantee and then take the money from CG. Then roughly about 750 crores was due to vendors, unsecured creditors vendors, for 7 to 8 months. And then besides there was employee dues. Now, this was even for me to get a complete handle of this, it took me about a couple of weeks because, whenever you ask for, it will take some time.
And the book says that you managed to settle all of this in a month, basically.
So secured creditors, because discussions were going on, then
the guarantee...
the guarantees took time.
Yeah.
So within a month's time, so it was contingent upon TA taking about 51% equity, therefore 800 crores of money had come in. TA has infused equity of 600 crores, 200 crores to come later. Then on the strength of TA infusing that money, and on the strength of TA guarantee, State Bank was willing to give a new loan of equal amount for 800 crores. So 1,600 crores was available to me. So then we started negotiating with the secured creditors first. Then we settled it for 43%, whatever is the...
So what you say in the thing, if you take the secured creditors and guarantees, right, it's 3,600 crores in total, and the settlement finally happened for about 1,200 crores, right?
So this, unlike IBC, in IBC, every creditor will be involved, including unsecured creditor to the last pi. Into the RBI stressed asset mechanism, you deal only with secured creditors by the lead lender. Rest of them, you have to take a one-on-one discussion and then negotiation and settle.
Yeah.
Then for the 1,280 crores, barring two banks, rest of them I could settle by January. By January, February, because March was coming, everybody was balanced. Banks were also interested to clean up their books. So by February we could do. Then the unsecured lenders I started paying gradually. About 700 crores, they are all company vendors mostly, contractors, vendors, etc. So for them, no discount. For the secured creditors, about 43%.
There was a haircut, but...
But for the guarantees, we settled somewhere around 26%. Because, still they have assets to proceed. Against the principal debtor, they can proceed. Yeah. So we said for the companies...
But for the operational creditors, you paid them in full, basically.
Full, because, they are being what they are. They are mostly MSMEs, small-scale industries, etc. They already actually, I had to apologize to each one of them for what has happened. And I told them that this will never get repeated. And you accept this and then you start again supplying to the company. Yeah.
Then, and of course, there were the employees as well, which you write in the book that you had to reassure them as well, because they were concerned about what happens to their PF money, all kinds of things, basically, right?
So employees, actually, we paid their dues, and there were concerns that they felt whether a company had its own trust. They felt whether the money is safe. They wanted to be assured. I told them that every money, I will send you a ledger account of what you are outstanding and get it transferred to the Government of India PF account, so that will be permanently will be safe. They were very, very receptive of this suggestion. So I think then also I spoke to the board and then got their permission to give bonus for a couple of years which were not paid, even though they may not be eligible, whether eligible or not, because they got battered.
Once you write in the book that you took a different approach once the loans, etc., those issues were settled. You went on the offensive. Normally, in a situation like this, I'm assuming the tendency is to centralize all decisions from the top, very little leeway given to operational managers. That was not the case. Even, for example, you say, when you decided to start spending on CapEx in a small way, you left it to operational managers, plant managers, etc., to decide how much to spend, where to spend, etc. What was the thinking behind that?
So first is, it was something like empowering them and to get them on my side. The first 4 months of 2021, the company was acquired in November 2020. The 4 months itself, we did about 1,000 crores turnover, which was the highest in the last 7 or 8 quarters. Yeah. So initially, since for the past 3-4 years prior to that, no money was spent on the company. There were no maintenance, nothing. So I just gave them roughly about 50 crores for each one of them. Whatever you want to do, you do. I don't want any downtime. I don't want. There is no time for me to just get into this. Your interests are as good as
but you
mine.
could gauge that these people were
They were all people who have stayed for so many years, and even they stayed during the stress period. They didn't want to go out. There was a pride. CG is my company. Then I had worked hard, and we must realize that the plant did nothing wrong, and for something happened at corporate, they got into this kind of a mess. This is the first one. Then, so since most of the creditors were settled, then for the next year. For the year 21-22, I told them, you come out with an unbridled business plan. You work to your potential. You don't bother about constraints. You tell me whatever money is required, what are the constraints, etc. I will deal with it. But you must focus on bringing up the company because recovery has to be faster. Then I found that I had so much of issues to be dealt at the corporate. I have to deal with investigation. There was one big property transaction. If I close
consumer
it,
glance sale.
So if I close it, I can get about 400 crores, 450 crores. My target was that I wanted to get the money in 21-22. Then also I wanted to recast the balance sheet, complete the recasting of balance sheet and get something. Only then I will know what are the risks. I myself do not know.
The 5-year recast was initiated by the company, or was it
by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs.
Yes.
Corporate Affairs. Yes. So realizing all that, I felt, unless I empower the people, and then, I can't do both, then I call them. So you and I agree on certain major parameters, and then cash flow. Then I set up an investment committee. Capital expenditure will have to be scrutinized by the investment committee. Our CFO, myself, everybody will be there. I constituted the team. And then they have to clear that your IRR, your cost, etc., everything is good. Subject to this broad parameters being agreed, you will be permitted to incur the expenditure, but you are accountable to give me the results. They actually got very...
the decision, Mr. Srinivasan, to keep CJ House.
Because so that is another thing.
Was that a you needed it?
I tell you, so I think after just taking stock, the original settlement agreed was, the CG house has to be given to the lenders for 150 crores.
Mr. Velayan in his reflection writes that if it was up to me, I would have given it away.
I think, they never focus on real estate, only on business. When I found that when I checked, this building has actually been only 80,000 square feet they have constructed at that time. As per the new guideline, they can go up to 4,25,000 square feet. Then subsequently, then some money was, there was a demand of 70 crores by the BMC against this company for various things. I fought the demand. Most of them are not a legal demand. I took a book, purchased the book, again BMC handbook, and then I found many of the demands were time bound. Finally, we quashed all the demand. Then simultaneously, we negotiated with the lender, and then against 150 crores, I will pay you. By March, actually, once my balance sheet is clear, my restructuring balance sheet is clear, then I have the guarantee my rating improved. Then people were willing to, and quarter on quarter, 3 quarters, every quarter after that, from the first quarter onwards, I was making profits. So people were willing to give me money. So then I renegotiated the deal, got back the CG house from the lender, settling 125 crores against 150 crores. Then subsequently renegotiated with Rahejas for development. Now the building is under development. They get they're going to get a landmark building in that place.
Absolutely. As we wind down, sir, tell us a little bit about, as you look back, right, what are the big learnings for you from this entire experience?
So there are different types of learnings for different types of stakeholders. Now, first, as I said, that this kind of I would say this kind of diversion of funds, a large amount of diversion of funds can take place in a company post 2013 Companies Act, which actually strengthened the audit committee, strengthened the role of independent directors, and then the LODR, which had more disclosures. With all that, silently this money was taken away. And then the thing came to light only after a period of 3 years, 4 years, when everything happened. I actually questioned how sound and strong is the system. The conclusion is that unless, there is no substitute for integrity, unless there is integrity at the top, nothing can be taken for granted. Therefore, in this sense, and I would think that every company will have to, again, at least wherever I am, I used to tell them that, don't take anything for granted. This is the number one lesson. How much systems can, the second aspect is, buying a business versus a company. If you take originally just as a CG as a whole, when the opportunity was available, there is a 1,000 crore tax demand, there is recasting, and then there is investigation. This is one aspect. But behind the company, there are 3 businesses which have done exceptionally well for 50 years. So I think, if the businesses, underlying businesses are good and there was no problems with that, I think if you are comfortable in restructuring the business, I think company issues can be resolved. I think this is one lesson which every acquirer, every company wants, every entrepreneur wanting to acquire a company must look at. I mean, primarily, if you look at the tax demand, investigation, etc., it is definitely intimidating. But the underlying businesses have been strong, therefore we could generate cash to fight them out. So this is the second aspect. Third is, what is the kind of, see, there are a number of options available for restructuring. One is the IBC, second is the RBI code, second is SURFACE. Like this, there are a number of options available. IBC, the time taken has been around easily about 2 to 3 years. But this RBI stressed asset mechanism, I think the lender and the promoter decided to choose this. They could do it within 6 months. Assuming, if it has happened, more time has taken, people would have gone to IBC, bring the liquidation of this. Further things would have deteriorated. Therefore, the choice of resolution at what point of time, how would like to do, etc. I think this is something, which you have to do. In this case, looking at this key decision of getting into RBI stressed mechanism has been a very apt move. Then lastly, actually here in this case, if you look at the speed of execution and disciplined execution. See, I think there are multiple issues. And then you don't look at, I don't have people, I will have to look for, nobody is going to join a sick company which has so much of issues. So within the available people, then you have to attack multiple issues at the same time. And maybe you have to form a team which can work for 15, 16 hours a day, all the 325, 65 days. And I actually used to lead from the front. Anytime they can call me by 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I used to do. I think the speed of execution is very, very important. In any initially within a month's time, you have to just decide,
stabilize things,
etc., and communicate clearly what is you expect from your people and how the company is going to turn around. I think these are 4 or 5 big lessons.
Any changes you would like to see from a law perspective, the system, how it responds to, because this is not the last. This won't be this is not the first, not the last either. And these kind of situations will arise, unfortunately, in the future as well. Anything you would recommend, you'd like to see? So,
for example, this RBI stressed asset mechanism, it only takes care of the secured creditors. I think it should be extended to cover. It's outside IBC, but at the same time, if it can be little more enlarged, then it can be a quicker resolution of many things. In fact, immediately after this, I wrote to the RBI governor that saying that this is, and also to the finance minister, that this is a very good initiative. This is born out of IBC. At one point of time, IBC got some provisions of IBC circular actually got stuck down by the Supreme Court. So there was a vacuum. So that time RBI came out with the circular interim to deal with that. It became very effective. For this can be, if this can be enlarged and then it can be a quicker phase. Everything need not go to IBC. IBC is like it's a clock. Once you set it up, it goes like this. And then in between, people can go and take a court stay, etc. It's more like a bilateral, agreeable thing. Therefore, this is a very good suggestion. And if this can be implemented, several assets, non-performing assets can be brought to life.
Srinivasan, you are the corporate doctor, the turnaround man. What next for you? I mean, CG Power, tick, done. What else? What next?
Certainly, I love to handle stressed assets. Let me see if there are any opportunities available. I also would like to spend some more time in writing some of the issues. Like in the CG Power book is one. There are other things which I have in mind, which probably I'll some more time.
And we'll be the richer for it, Mr. Srinivasan. Thank you very much for dropping by and talking to us about this book. For our viewers, I'd just like to say, go pick up a copy and you'll be the wiser for it. It's called The Great Revival, CG Power's Comeback from Bankruptcy to a $10 billion Company. Thanks for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I certainly did. Thank you for watching.